Hey everyone, I'm Hailey and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is one you guys have been requesting for quite a while now, and it's actually going to be my winter morning routine. So during quarantine, I actually became kind of a coffee person, and it's funny because before quarantine I didn't really care about coffee, but now I don't actually mind the taste of it. Now I'm just letting out my puppy Maverick so that he can go to the bathroom and play outside before I go to the barn. I also go check on my chickens, and I pretty much have to clean out their water dish because they love to fill it with straw and dirt basically every single day. Like sometimes I have to clean it out twice or sometimes 3 times. After their water dish is clean, I put it back in on top of their heating unit that basically just stops the fountain from freezing. And after their water's all worked out, I go and pull this little drawstring on the back of my coop, which actually opens the door into the rest of the run that they can go hang out in all day. And because it was so cold today, I put down a little bit of scratch as a treat so that they could munch on that and stay warm. And before you guys ask, yes, my chickens do have names. The gray lavender Orpington is named Florence. The black one is a copper Moran mix who is named Fern. The 2 yellowy girls are actually sisters. Their names are Honey and Teddy. And the white Silky is actually my rooster. But he doesn't actually have a name yet, so you guys can leave some suggestions down in the comments. Now I go and collect my chickens' eggs. And I absolutely love how colorful they are. When I get inside from dealing with the chickens, I feed Maverick as well as my cat Oliver. Then I start getting my breakfast worked out. Pretty much every morning I have eggs, as well as toast or a bagel. And a little fun fact is I'm actually a vegetarian. By the time I'm done checking on the chickens and I've started my breakfast, my coffee is ready to be pressed. Then I put it into a cup with a whole bunch of ice, sugar, and creamer. Sometimes I like hot coffee, but generally I really like iced coffee. This particular morning, I made a bagel with cheese, egg, and spinach, which is generally my go-to. After I eat, I go and get some super warm clothes on because today we actually had quite a bit of frost and it was trying to snow. And yes, those are half chaps hanging at my front door. Also, I forgot to mention this in the intro, but at the end of today's video, I actually have a little bit of an announcement. So, thankfully, my dad is the one who wakes up at 6 o'clock in the morning and goes down to feed the horses breakfast. So when I get to the barn about an hour later, I start turning out. I pretty much always start with turning out Libby first because she is the most persistent to go outside. Then I take Savannah out, who is actually in love with Libby. The 2 of them are absolutely best friends. And no surprise, the little piggy Savannah trotted right over to her hay. After Savannah, I take Ophelia out because I think she's actually learned from Libby and Savannah to be very insistent to go outside. She used to be so calm and almost not even care about getting to go outside, whereas now she is super pumped every morning I come into the barn. The last one to go out of my 4 horses is actually Missy. Unfortunately, 3 of my horses are quite mean. I'm hoping that eventually Ophelia and Savannah can actually be paddock buddies, but right now everybody is very mean and hates each other, so that's not happening anytime soon. After Missy, I take out Brona's stego horses Maya. Then to finish off turning out all the horses in my barn, I just have to take out the back paddock of 5. And these 5 horses are basically all border horses. And trust me, the Meet the Ponies series is actually in progress, but we have 26 horses, so it's going to take me a little while to get all the videos worked out. Thankfully today, it was actually quite cold, so the ground was pretty frozen, so it wasn't actually muddy in the paddocks. After all the horses in my barn are turned out, I start on the main barn, which basically has all of my parents' and my brother's horses, as well as a couple more boarders. Once all 26 horses are finally outside, I go around with an axe and a pitchfork and start breaking up all the waters. The water buckets had a pretty good amount of ice in them from the night before. And in case you guys are wondering, we actually keep our water troughs halfway outside the paddock because we have at least 6 horses on the farm who will try to jump in the water trough and splash it and knock it over, so we leave the troughs halfway out, that way the horses can't mess with them, hopefully. And on my way back to the barn, I put any hay that got pushed out of the paddock back in. Once I get back to the barn, my dad and I start basically just mucking all the stalls. Once my barn is all mucked out, my dad actually continues on to mucking the other barn while I set up the blower to start cleaning out the hallway. This is definitely my least favorite part of cleaning up the barn because it just gets so dusty and so gross. I get so covered in shavings and whatever else is blowing around on the floor. After the hallway is clean, I go through and see if there's any water buckets that need to be dumped. There's actually this one horse who I have to dump the water for twice a day normally because he puts his hay in his bucket and creates this like sludge, and it's super gross. But after all the dirty water buckets are dumped out, I go through and I just fill everything up. Then afterwards, I roll up the hose and head over to the other barn. So by the time I get over there, normally my dad is already done mucking because he is way faster than I am, and I end up just blowing out the hallway. I'm very lucky that we actually have a family business of running the horses and the barn and the polo club and all that stuff, so I don't have to do all this horsey stuff alone. After the hallway is clean, I go through and add more bags of shavings to any of the stalls that need them. And afterwards, I water the barn, but I didn't film it this time because it's kind of boring to watch, so I just didn't film it this time. After the stalls are all ready, I actually go through and I prep all the stalls for lunchtime. Because in the winter right now, the horses go outside during the day and they go out for different periods of time. It really just depends on the weather, but today they're coming inside for lunch. And what the ponies get for lunch is basically a condensed alfalfa and Timothy mix hay cube. And this specific brand of hay cube is actually supposed to be fed dry as opposed to being watered down. These hay cubes are absolutely amazing. They're so good at getting horses who are hard keepers to gain weight. And even our 32-year-old mare has no problem eating these, and it makes her look so good. Our horses get regular hay when they're out in the paddock. But one of the awesome things about this hay cube is that it is super clean. We have no hay in the hallway, it's always clean, the stalls are clean, and there's no wasted hay. After I'm done prepping the stalls in my parents' barn, I take the feed cart out and I head over to my barn. And after I'm done prepping all the stalls and making sure that everybody has their lunch ready, I turn the lights off to my barn and head back over to my parents' barn. Once I'm back in my parents' barn, I start prepping for dinner because we have a couple horses that like to kick and scream a little bit while we're getting ready to feed dinner. So I get 3 or 4 buckets ready, that way it's really quick to feed the horses that are really loud when we start feeding dinner. Our feed cart actually has space for 3 different sections of feed. One is for hay cubes, one is for Ecomax, and one is for a custom feed blend. My dad worked with our feed company as well as a equine nutritionist to get the perfect mix of feed to best suit what our horses' needs were. We also have this little shelf above the feed containers that carry all of the supplements that our horses get. So before I start making up food, I'm just refilling any supplement containers that need to be refilled. All of our horses pretty much get their own mix of what they need, whether it be just the sweet feed mix or Ecomax or whatever supplements or medications that they need. The one supplement that our horses get no matter what is a hoof strengthener, as well as they get some salt to encourage them to drink after they're done eating. After I'm done making up feed for the 3 really loud horses, I take the empty feed bags and put them in that little hobbit hole door. Then it's time to bring our manure over to our neighbor's house, who actually uses it for fertilizer for their fields. And after that is done, the last thing that we do every morning is my dad takes the tractor into the arena and harrows it. That way it's nice and smooth for when we ride that afternoon. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's morning routine video. And like I said earlier, I do have a little bit of announcement. I plan to start uploading twice a week. I plan to be here for you guys every Thursday and Sunday. So if you guys enjoyed today's video, make sure to like and subscribe to my channel, as well as leave your thoughts down in the comments below. And while you're down there, turn on your notification bell so that you don't miss any of my new videos. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you later.